there, beautiful people. I'm Tracy Rigdon, and this is a very special 420 edition of the Contrast Project. I have with me today Mr. Daniel Locke from Compassionate Alternative Care.
Hello, Tracy.
How you doing?
I'm great. Happy 420, sir.
420 piece.
Sir.
And we even got our shirts on. Got my Reefer Madness thing on here.
I'm sporting my my 420 garb from True Leave I got last year.
Well, there you go. There you go. Hopefully in the near future we'll have somebody from True Leave on the show. We haven't heard yet, but that's coming up. And 420, the celebration. Originally started long ago in California using the time 420. 420 in the afternoon, like everybody says, it's 420 somewhere.
Amen.
And over the years, it morphed into larger celebrations, moved to the college campuses, and turned into, all different kinds of things that led to legislation. They were holding these big festivals. Mm-hmm. In big cities, San Francisco, Atlanta, Miami. Miami's one of the big ones here in Florida. But the 420 celebration basically has morphed into live music, live bands, food trucks, vendors, the whole 9 yards, just like any other festival.
That's exactly right. Yeah, if you recall, last year's 420 was right when we were knee deep in learning how to react during COVID, and I can remember, everything was shut down.
Yeah.
But guess what was not shut down? Dispensaries. They were deemed essential.
Yeah.
And by God, on 420, they were essential.
Absolutely.
We're locked up, we're holed up. I'm trying to learn how to use Netflix as an old man, and but I get a text message that the dispensary's open. So yeah, I what you said with the festivals and stuff, and gosh, I guess the 420 holiday is really kind of what's gotten us to where we are today, isn't it?
It is. In a way, it is. People that started the movement went on, like I say, to get petitions and get bills enacted, and a lot of the bills so far have failed. Mm-hmm. They get pushed back, but they're still fighting for it. It's still something that they believe in that 420 movement, which is now growing and growing and growing.
Right.
It's not only the recreational users, but it's also now we have so many people with their medical marijuana cards. They're going to the festivals too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's helped because it was so taboo. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when we started Compassionate Alternative Care, nearly 4 years ago, right after it became legal. Mm-hmm. And in the early days, it was just, you get the phone call and they would say things like, my doctor doesn't really believe in this stuff, Yeah. And it was so taboo. Mm-hmm. Fast forward a couple of years, and now it's, hey, my doctor said I should probably give this a try versus Xanax, or hey, I've got Crohn's disease and my doctor said, mm-hmm. You should give this a try.
Right.
So yeah, it's amazing. And now you're right. Even patients who even were kind of hiding it and taboo,
right.
and I've got patients who've got, I got one patient I've got from McClenny, and she and I were having this discussion. They're pretty, I guess you'd say in McClenny they might not be the most liberal town, in our area, right?
No.
She in addition to that, the lady had teenage children. So she's, oh my God, I'm just scared. What do I do? So we had the old CBD, just let them know it's the non-mind altering. And, so it's evolved to that to where now, a year later, she's hitting her vape pen. She's done tried flower. She's rolling her a joint out on the front porch, and she's not ashamed of it.
Right,
so it's,
right.
It is interesting that now even the medical market has seemed to be a little bit more acceptance,
And one of the things we had touched on before was that some of the dispensaries, the larger ones like True Leave, for instance, mm-hmm. the volume and variety of products that they have.
Oh my God.
They just have so many different opportunities for someone to try something that may work better for them.
Right. And then, that's exactly right. And then, a lot of times I'll get patients and I'll have them meet me at one of the dispensaries. True Leaf is really good for it, and we'll sit down and we'll have a consultation and talk about different products. For THC naive patients, who don't have any experience at all, and even the experience, people that, hey, I've been smoking pot 25 years. Well, they're like, what is this? What is a dab? What is tell me about these. Tell me about these animals. Right, and it's like a whole new world. Even for the experienced THC.
And like when early days, like when you make your first visit to like True Leaf,
right?
They give you this big booklet that's got all the strains and all the different, Kush and Gorilla Grapes and all that stuff, and the THC counts, the ratios.
Right.
It's almost if somebody that, like you say, THC naive, they get a hold of that book and they're like, whoa. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's no doubt it can absolutely be mind-boggling, but that's why we try to encourage folks without a lot of experience. Let's just focus on getting you started, and then you can evolve. Once you've got a little more experience.
And most of the companies' websites that I've looked at, they have very good descriptions of each of their products.
Right.
Now, not all of them do.
Right.
But a couple of them have very good descriptions of the product, the THC to CBD ratios. So you can look for if someone recommends to you to start with a higher CBD level or so forth.
Right.
You can find that usually on most of their websites.
Right. That's exactly right. And who else has gotten better at this stuff? The people that work at the dispensaries.
Yeah.
You got to remember.
They're not just bud tenders anymore. 4
years ago, they were brand new. They were learning the stuff, and now, and what's helped me, the more patients that give you feedback, okay, the better your knowledge is.
Sure.
So imagine those folks at the dispensaries who have patients that they're dealing with all day, every day. Hey, I tried this and this worked, blah, 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 so they're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Which, and as they get better at it and I get better at it and patients get better at it, then, people are learning how to manage their conditions.
Yeah. And it really is a painless endeavor to get your product. You simply go on their website the day before, place your order for pickup, and they send you a text message that your order's ready.
Well, see, but here's the difference. Here's the difference, Tracy. Now listen, you're doing this. You're doing your podcast. You are a different animal for us older folks. Okay, you're one of these guys who are so good at technology. Okay, so that's easy for you. Now let me give you a little secret. Okay, I'm still old. I use the technology I have to, and let me tell you, Harvest, for example, okay? I shouldn't be sharing this with everybody. It's kind of my inside little secret. I've learned that Harvest gets their drops normally on Friday morning. So folks will go into iHeart Jane and they'll order up starting about 8 o'clock. Well, about 10 o'clock when they start answering the phone. They're one dispensary. They will answer the phone, and I'll say, hey, what you got today? Okay, I've got so-and-so. What's the THC levels on that one? What's that one? What's this one? Okay, and then I'll say, hey, how about holding them about 3 of those for me? I'll be by this afternoon to get them. Okay, Mr. Locke, we got you. Now, see,
that's your inside track.
No, anybody can do that, but that's old man service, okay? Because I can go online and I'm like, I want to what? I got to hit what button in next? Man, I'll pick up the phone and call somebody.
and I tell you, the one dispensary I've been going to that's pretty much closest thing to me from where I live is in Orange Park.
Right.
And I go in there, and they're just so nice, so polite, and so quick. I mean, I've been to their dispensary on Beach Boulevard before, and I mean, it's packed.
I'll tell you now. I haven't been to that one in a minute because it's packed.
It's packed.
But you got to remember, that was the first one in town.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah, it
all
was.
creatures of habit, right? So what do? We go where we know.
They go to
Next
the
thing you
same
know, there's a
place.
stinking line there all day, every day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so now they've got one at the beach. I know they've got one there on, they just opened one off of Bay Meadows, which a lot of people aren't aware of. One in Orange Park. They've got one in Nassau County.
Right.
So
Gainesville.
now what's happening, I mean, just in our area, hopefully that Beach Boulevard's able to breathe a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one in Orange Park. I'm not kidding you. I've never seen any more than 3 or 4 people in the lobby.
Yeah.
Ever.
Every time I've been there, I've been able to get in and out of it too,
Yeah,
as well.
quick. And
So
they're
yeah.
super nice. They're super nice. Some of them remember your name.
Yeah.
Some of them don't, but
Well, that means you've been there a few times. Huh?
you will.
But no, I'll tell you, the 420 celebration is a day that I always look forward to because all the deals are going on right now. You know, all the 420 deals.
Yeah,
and then you get a free T-shirt when you get this. So, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah,
And I'll tell you, I wear the garb out and about, because, it strikes up a conversation.
Sure.
When I was, what I learned? I went to the Gateway whenever they did their, I got my COVID shot. Okay. So that's another thing. Everybody in our office has been vaccinated. So even we still are operating under the CDC guidelines,
Right.
but we're vaccinated as well. But when I went to get vaccinated, it was all these Army folks. I guess they're what are they? The Guard? I guess the
Guard.
National Guard
Yeah.
is manning the tents and everything. And I had my 420 shirt on, and of course my mask, which, represents. In the conversations, the guy gave me my shot. Yeah, I'm from Arizona. It's legal out there. Can't wait to get out. He says, everybody talks about it in the Army. He said, even the officers.
Yeah.
They talk about it. Can't wait to get out. So, that's a shame, that you're potentially losing good soldiers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because they're not able to medicate with marijuana.
Right.
But my God, when I was in the Navy, 100 years ago, my God, if everybody on that dadgum ship would have traded the liquor we were drinking for the marijuana, we'd have been a hell of a lot more productive.
I bet.
An old young kid sailor, you know how liquored up we got the minute the ship parked.
I was in the Army and we did the same
You
thing.
know how it works then.
Absolutely. And
I mean, I'd much rather my Army be high than drunk,
well, yeah.
But anyway, that's somebody smarter than me to figure out.
Listen, we got a whole bunch more to talk about, so stick around. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Michael Armano, designer at Calypso Couture. I want to wish you a happy 420. Blaze it.
We're here with Kris Hatcher, K-Town Kris.
That's me.
We wanted to talk about, in this segment,
Yes.
Happy 420.
Happy 420.
420 is coming up in
Absolutely.
just a few days.
Yeah. Right.
And we're excited about it.
Yes, very much so.
We've been talking about how many festivals there are going on.
So many, and then there's a few that have been canceled. So it's kind of that, like, it's like there are a lot of fun coming up, but then it's like disappointing that there's going to be some good things not happening.
There's a big one that happens in Miami, but who knows what will happen at the last minute because of what just happened to spring break. They put in curfews down there at the beach in Miami.
Yep.
And that's one of the big that's one of the big 420 festivals.
Right.
There, Atlanta, San Francisco.
And I know Atlanta canceled Sweetwater canceled theirs already. So should be interesting. I really feel like, even if it's canceled too, people are going to go when they're going to make their own festival. It's we're just going to meet up and be there.
Pop-up mini festival.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little pop-ups.
We've got the internet now. We know how to communicate with each other. It's
That's
like, okay,
right.
they've canceled it. We'll still see you there. That type of deal.
And the history of 420, where it, decades ago started out in San Francisco as 420 in the afternoon.
Right.
They would always say, hey, it's 420 somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. We don't need 5 o'clock for drinking.
And then over the years, it morphed into 420, the date.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a day to celebrate.
And then it from there, just ballooned. The festivals all over.
Well, the culture has changed a lot, it just over the last 10 years alone.
Sure.
I've seen a lot of change in the culture from coast to coast.
Right.
So,
and a lot of states are opening up with legalizing to a certain degree marijuana.
Right.
A couple of states have legalized recreational already.
Absolutely.
And our agricultural commissioner here in Florida, Nikki Freed, she's been pushing for adult, it should be legal for adult use.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which means she would like to see it open up recreationally, where people can grow their own too,
Which we should be able to do, We're consenting adults. We can choose to do a lot of other things that are far more dangerous for us than...
Well, marijuana is for many people, it's a lifesaver. We've heard from so many people that have chronic pain issues or anxiety disorders, PTSD, those kinds of things. And they've started using the medical marijuana product. And some began before it was legal too, because they were told that it worked, and it did.
And it did.
Got them off, Xanax, and got them off opioids. And now they do their, whether it be edibles or oils, concentrates, or they actually smoke the flower.
And I think that's it. There's just so many forms to it. And, now I have seen people who have smoked and it just was not for them.
Yeah. Sure.
There are those few people who just can't seem to handle it. But, I think that's true for pretty much everything,
Sure.
But in regards to, I've seen a lot of people on marijuana and I've seen a lot of people on alcohol. And I can promise you all day long, I'd rather be in the group of people on marijuana than I would be in the group of people with alcohol.
Yeah.
So
years and years and years ago, my former mother-in-law, and I want to say years, at least 35 years.
Okay.
Since I've seen her.
Oh, wow.
She was a cancer patient. She has since passed. But she was a cancer patient on chemotherapy, and she was smoking marijuana way back then.
Yeah.
It took away her nausea, and it took away her anxiety, because she would get anxious before going in for a chemo treatment. And it worked for her 30-something years ago.
That's actually, my cousin's wife was the same when she was dealing with hers. And unfortunately, we did lose her about 5 years ago.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. But she was very much the same way. It wasn't legal where she was. But she swore, if she didn't have access to it, that she didn't know the position that it would be, because it did. Right. It helped her to be able to eat. It helped her, to deal with the pain. It helped her to deal with the anxiety, all of those things. And it's just that one thing, whereas if otherwise they're trying to give you, 10 pills to accomplish that.
Sure. Expensive, waste of money to big pharma.
Absolutely.
Bottom line, really.
I grew up watching, my mother had rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune issues run in my family. And I watched the medication destroy her body. She lost tons of weight, and then she'd gain it all back, and then they just give her more and add to it, and now she's at a point where she doesn't produce her own prednisone. She doesn't produce her, she's on these medications now for the rest of her life because the doctors just kept giving it to her. So I always swore, you know, I didn't want to be in that position.
Right.
So when I started having the medical issues that I'm having, you know, with autoimmune issues, with pain, with anxiety, and especially when doctors are saying, this is an option, you know, because I said up front, I'm not doing medicine, you know, I'm not doing your over counter, I'm not doing prescription, I don't want medication.
Right.
And medical marijuana changed everything for me. You
Sure.
know, it changed everything. You know, I can take a long road trip without being this stiff board when I get to wherever I'm going, because it's helping me deal with the pain and the inflammation that comes from sitting still. You know, I can get over the mountain that I just rode over last weekend with my husband, because I have something helping me with the anxiety, or at least helps me when I get on the other side of the mountain, because I just had a panic attack trying to get over it, you know.
Oh, Lord.
So it's, you know, it without saying, you know, it's a miracle cure for things, you know, it is what more people should be on versus the tons of medications that they're pumping into themselves.
Yeah. And talking about the 420 festivals,
Yes.
A lot of people looking at those as just a bunch of potheads getting together and
Yeah, these
partying and
stoners
everything.
just want to, you know.
There's a large portion of that crowd are people that are carrying medical marijuana cards now.
Absolutely. And
because
then
there's a lot, thousands and thousands.
Business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they're artists, they're creatives, they're, you know,
Right.
this whole sea full of people. You know, you go to the dispensary now, you know, you see every age, every ethnicity,
Yep.
you know, it runs the gamut, and it's just, you know, it was kind of surprising to me when I first started going into the dispensaries here, because you know, you really do see that it's just, you know, so many people. And I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, if they really were honest, I would say probably 80% of the people that I meet on a daily basis smokes in some form or fashion, whether it's legal or not legal.
Right.
Because
right.
even becoming legal to get your medical card in Florida isn't always the cheapest thing to do. Or,
no.
you know.
You really do have to shop
Yeah.
because there are actually a lot of doctors' offices in the area that are doing it now.
Yes.
Doctors are getting their, you know, certification in order to do that.
Which is so important.
Which is good, and it gives you the chance, like I say, to shop for a lower price. We have found one of the lower prices in town.
Nice.
Compassionate Alternative Care.
Nice.
They're located over across the street from the Beaver Street Enterprise Center.
Which is a great place for entrepreneurs.
It's a great little incubator.
Yes.
Their festivals, if you ever see, you know, one of their events, you know, on social media, that's a good idea to go by there and check it out.
Absolutely.
I've gone over there several times and just had a blast.
And they have seminars over there and all kinds of things.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a great place for small businesses and good location, I guess, since it's across from Compassionate Care.
Yeah. Well, working in a place like that, because they do have full-time employees, of course, the Enterprise Center, there's a lot of volunteers that go there too.
Oh.
And the students that are in there, when they get to a certain level, then they become consultants for other incubators. So they have a nice little cycle there.
Which is good. Yeah. Gives everybody well-rounded and really helpful to the community.
Yeah, people pair up. There's ways to pair up different people. So the administrators, of course, would do that.
Okay.
So they would pair up different people with, you know, different budding upstarts, or, you know, people that need to have, you know, just consultation about business matters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they could tell them, you know, to walk across the street and get their medical marijuana card.
There you go.
Yeah. And, you know, every state is a little different for carrying the medical cards. Every state is different on the amounts they can dispense.
Yes.
Pretty much. Some of them are
Yes.
close, but I mean, pretty much. And they're all, if you're in the same area, but in North Florida alone, gosh, we probably have over a dozen different dispensaries.
We do,
at least.
And it's, you know, they're trying to kind of space themselves out to the different sides of town, which is helpful. You know, we were talking about it before the camera started rolling. You know, it's like I refuse to go to the one in Orange Park just simply because I cannot handle the traffic. You know,
the traffic is bad there.
Yeah, if you have anxiety, it's probably not the best dispensary to go to.
If you're going to Blanding on where where True Leaf is at,
yes,
you will see at least all up and down the street there, and down on Wells Road. There's a couple of them over on Wells Road.
Yes.
And right there at that little stretch on Blanding, there's probably 4 different companies. And dispensaries.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can basically, when you're your first year, or even 2 if it takes that long, you can shop at different dispensaries, different companies, and find different products. I mean, and they all do
great specials too for you, like your first time coming, and then if you sign up for like their text messaging and their email, because the competition is there, they really do have it. It's a little overwhelming when you first get your card, because you're looking at it going, okay, well, what is the best one to go to? I find myself at like 2 a.m. reading Reddit threads about different dispensaries and their products, and and it's an interesting place to navigate. But having shows like this is where it matters, because it becomes more mainstream. It becomes acceptable to talk about it, because we should be able to talk about it and say, well, I found this great deal at this dispensary, when we're just out in conversation. The same way you would say, well, I just found this great new wine, or, whatever the case may be.
And at all the dispensaries, they should, and most of them do, the what they call the bud tenders, or medical marijuana consultants.
Yes.
Some of them are very, very good.
Yes.
They're very knowledgeable.
You can tell that they love doing what they're doing.
But the doctor's office where you go should give you a good educational packet before you leave.
Right.
And the one I go to, of course, does.
Yes.
You get an informational packet, and then you hand them his card at some of the dispensaries. He's been to every single one.
Wow.
And his card, and they'll give you a discount just for that.
Nice. That's awesome.
It makes sense.
Find the discounts where they are.
Because it can get expensive, keeping up with your medicine.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And it's important to keep up with, because once you start it, you'll find that, it's important to keep it in your system. Your system needs it. It's better with it.
And you can take your time, even before you go to the dispensary for the first time. But take your time over the first year, and go through different products, and you'll find something that works good for your
different strains, different products, different things are gonna. I like a stronger CBD in the mornings, because it helps with any swelling that I've had, and helps prevent it. But then, I want something that's going to be nice and strong before I go to bed, so it's going to help me sleep. So
RSO is good before bed.
Yes, RSO is very good before bed.
So a large portion of the people going to the festivals are carrying cards for a reason.
Yeah.
They have a good, and then many of the people in the audience are not carrying cards.
Yes.
But they're smoking for a reason.
Yes.
Now there will also be close to half of them there that are really just there to
have a good time.
Just there to party.
But you know what? There are people at every party and every event that are just there to have a good time, and that should be okay too.
That's right. Yeah. And I think it's a great thing. Unfortunately, I won't be going to any of them this year.
Same.
Like we were talking about with the pandemic response, it's affected the festivals.
Yes.
So
yes.
Some of those have been shut down or postponed, or they're really stretching it to try to, make it work where they can, socially distance people and, request that they wear masks and stuff, especially in the state of Florida when, pretty much it's opened wide up.
Yep. Even Jacksonville just lifted their mask mandate. So
I know. Well, some places still require that you wear one inside.
Thankfully, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of the restaurants are still doing it. They're saying, got to have a mask to come in.
Yep. And if not, you can still go and support them the way we do, with just picking it up and taking it to go.
Yep. Eat on the patio.
Yeah. There's always a way to enjoy yourself.
Oh, they've all implemented patio dining.
Yes.
And you'll have pop-ups at the festivals that do, go ahead and proceed.
And if we're in Florida, you're always going to have good weather pretty much.
Oh, there'll be pop-ups and food trucks and everything. And I'm a food truck fanatic. I really love it. And those are perfect food for after you've medicated.
Yes. They really are.
Go to the greasiest food truck you can find.
It's always a good variety.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us on the 420 episode.
Yes.
Peace.
Yes.
Happy 420.
Happy 420.
We've got a lot more to talk about. Stay with us.
Pick up some love. Mackey's Munchies. Don't forget you can order online at www.mackeysmunchies.com, and we are located at 868 Landing Boulevard. Remember, all signs lead to Mackey's Munchies.
Hello everybody, I'm Sheldon Hall and welcome to Cigarette Time. We've got some exciting news about the cigarette industry coming for you, the people. But let's first begin, of course, as always, by lighting a cigarette. Edward R. Murrow, rest in peace. You know, they used to say Edward R. Murrow, the only cigarette he actually lit in a day was the first one. And he just lit all the others off of the butt of the previous one, because he's chain smoking continuously, you know? Which is not a good life decision, but if I had to file, like, you know, CBS radio reports directly from the London Blitz, I would probably be smoking a lot of cigarettes too.
What city is WrestleMania 37 being held in this weekend? You got 1 minute. Ric Flair does not actually know his real name because he was stolen as a kid and sold into adoption by the Tennessee Children's Home Society. They think it might be Fred Phillips, but everyone gets points. See, John, now you're getting, this is useless trivia. When I say useless trivia, I mean it's so useless. Super duper useless. What year was the first officially documented pro wrestling match held in the city of Jacksonville?
Hey, yo, Mal, what's up?
Just trying to put you up on Relevant, yo. It's a new community chat app. I partnered with them to develop the Uplift, bro. We're off that other book, bro. We're doing the Victor Green style now, yo. Download ASAP.
Okay, cool. I'll download it now. Yo. All right.
Yo.
So I downloaded Relevant. What is the Uplift?
It's a new chat platform for the black community, exclusively on Relevant.
So what if I wanted to get my grub on with the black-owned restaurant?
Absolutely. In the category called Eat Up, you can find all the black-owned restaurants and grubbing in there.
So what if I wanted to go higher with my education at a historically black college?
Of course, you can find it inside of the Wise Up category. You can also politic with other black professionals on Power Up, a location-based community to do business and collaborate ideas. We got Speak Up for black community activists, Rise Up for career seekers, and Coming Up for talented rising black stars, all in one place. And the content changes based on the location of your city. Yo, it's going to be the next big thing. Find your vibe, exclusively on Relevant.
Hey, this is Daniel Locke with Compassionate Alternative Care. You're watching The Contrast Project.
Welcome back, kids. Thank you for joining us on our very special 420 episode of The Contrast Project. We're back with Daniel Locke.
Yes, sir.
We were talking during the break about the THC caps and what that's going to mean, and how the wording in the bill says that they're actually going to go to 10% for persons under the age of 21. So far that we know.
Right.
And You brought up a good point about how the manufacturers, the growers in the state, how are they going to, have to readapt, and how are the big companies, if they have to have a separate line of products for persons under 21? I mean, you're talking about, millions of dollars just in packaging.
Yeah, one would think. Yeah, I'll tell you. They went through this. If you can remember when marijuana first became legal in the state, flower wasn't legal.
Right.
Okay. So the manufacturers, and I'll tell you, some of this stuff, it takes some art getting to know this stuff, because the reps and stuff, they're not allowed to really talk about a lot of things. Everything, they're kind of tight-lipped. They don't volunteer a lot of information. But even with this cap thing, we've been noticing that the emails and what have you, a lot of come from the manufacturers, the dispensary.
Yes, I've gotten a bunch.
Right. So I can only think back, and it's all just speculation, but in the early days, when they first got flower legal, some of the early flower was coming in at real low percentages. And I'd pried all of them. What's going on? Because from the way I understood it was, when they came to Florida, they didn't have the, they didn't know how to grow in this market. So nobody took the humidity into consideration. So, we all know the Humboldt County, where marijuana's grown outdoors and it's great stuff, yada, yada, yada. Well, they don't have the heat and all that to deal with.
Right.
So what they first did when flower became legal is they had to kind of retool and start air conditioning things. Okay, more indoor grow type stuff, because then they can. So apparently, what happens is with the THC levels, to get them up, you have to get that humidity out of the air. Okay, so they've all made all of this in the last couple of years, however long flower has been legal now.
Right.
They've all been making these adjustments so they can compete in the market, because people want to smoke less product and have higher THC levels. Clearly, if you've got something that's 28% THC versus something that's 10, we don't have to inhale as much in our lungs to get the same level.
Right.
Okay, so that's what the opponents of it are saying. Sure. So they had to retool to compete in the market. Now, I can only imagine that they're going to have to retool back down, because you still have the over 21 market that's going to demand the high THC levels for less inhalation.
Sure.
Okay, and you're going to have they're going to have to adhere to the under 21 market, and change the THC. I'm guessing it's going to limit production. I don't know, because there again, you're not. These dispensaries are normally pretty tight-lipped on their plans and what's going forward. And
they've got plan B. They've got a plan B. They're just working out the kinks in it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that's what I see. I mean, it shouldn't affect, like in my world, in the doctor's office side of things, we don't see children anyway. Just because it takes an extra step. There are some great physician groups out there that do see children, thank goodness. But we just never got into that market. So all of our patients are adults. Okay. So but it's very interesting how that's going to affect really the dispensaries out there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, advocates of the THC caps, have argued for years that more government oversight was needed over the industry in order to prevent or not create another pill crisis.
Oh dear God! That when I first read that piece, it was mind-boggling. I couldn't understand it. Okay, so we want to regulate it so we don't create a pill crisis. Well, you know what? Really? So here's the evolution. Now, this is what I've learned in the 4 years I've been doing this. What I've learned, and I've learned it from patients. I didn't know. I mean, but I've got patients. So here's the cycle. We got them hooked on pills, right? All right. Once we got them hooked on pills, then we decided pill mills are bad, which they were, and they started regulating them. So what'd they do? They're still hooked on pills. Then they turned to the streets. Right? So the government was making tons of money first on the pills. We lose them to the streets for heroin. But then if they do overdose and don't die, then they get this methadone. Now they get government-funded methadone, and I've learned this from my patients. It was mind-boggling. You know what folks tell me that have gone through that horrible road? What they tell me is it's a whole lot easier to get off pills and heroin, methadone is unbelievable to get off of. You know what else I learned from them? Folks on methadone, they combine that with a Xanax, and they say it's better than any heroin they ever had on the streets. Isn't that mind-boggling?
They're going to figure out a way.
Isn't that crazy? So we take them. So to compare marijuana to a pill mill, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, long
That's
ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, long ago. And well, big pharma, their tentacles are everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
In legislation.
Absolutely.
And not just on the federal level, but, I mean, they're hitting up cities, municipalities, townships. I mean, they have their people everywhere.
Yeah.
And you might even find, in some rural areas, you might see even a little higher abuse than you would think would be in urban settings.
Right.
You'll see people in those rural areas that are hooked on painkillers, and and you've got disabled vets that are living out in places like Miller, Clay County, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And they're far removed from the rest of the system, except for the fact that they go to the VA, and get those huge bottles of pills that they hand out. Yeah. I could not. The first time I saw that. I could not believe that they had actually given a person that many pills at one time.
Yeah.
It's not a 1 month supply. It's like 3 month supply.
Right.
I mean, and they're pounding those things after they get, hooked on them. They're pounding down more than they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And that 3 month supply is gone in a month and a half.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It really is.
And then they're jonesing.
Right.
And have to wait till the next visit at the VA clinic.
Right. And are turning to the streets.
Turn to the streets or start doctor hopping.
Or guess what? Every now and then I get the phone call and says, you know what? I'm tired of these things. I want to get off of them. I want to get my marijuana card. I want to get off these things. So,
absolutely.
So believe it or not, I get a ton of folks who haven't gone to the street level. So the good news is not everybody goes down that. Some people say, hey, this is a problem. I need to deal with it. I want to get off of it. And what we tell them is, hey, listen, come in, get your card, okay, and then you go work with your doctor to wean yourself off of that stuff. We're in the marijuana business. We have no expertise to work with anybody getting off of their medication. And that's what they'll do. They'll go work with their doctor.
Sure.
And you know what? Doctors want to work them off of it.
Sure they do.
And like I said in the last segment, in the early days it was taboo, but nowadays they're learning, and they're even getting patients that'll come in and say, "No, doc, I don't need that pain medication. I'm on marijuana."
Right. People that get relief from it, they swear by it. There's patient testimonials all over the internet.
Oh yeah.
That'll tell you, how much it's meant to them.
Yeah.
I was watching a program the other night. A woman had been on, she had said that it got to the point where she was taking like 30 Percocets a day. And I'm thinking that's enough to knock an elephant down. But after she's been hitting them for so long, and she finally got off, was speaking with a physician, a psychoanalyst this morning, psychotherapist, and she had mentioned that she totally is on board with the use of medical marijuana in patients that are suffering from anxiety disorders, depression, PTSD, and that has been exacerbated too by this pandemic. People being locked in, people losing their livelihoods, husband and wife fighting each other because they're in the house together all the time now.
Sure. And watching people die and wondering if I'm going to get it next, or it's we've had a real uptick in business from people who are newly diagnosed with anxiety or PTSD. Unfortunately. We've seen an uptick.
Higher incidences during this time have been found in people with suicidal ideations. They've actually had in children. There's been over, from what she was telling me, over a 300% increase over this past year. 300% in children with suicidal ideations. Not necessarily gone through, carried it through, but they're talking about it.
It's heartbreaking.
To be so young and think that, suicide is your answer. And, people that are using cannabis in whatever different form.
Sure.
They're getting relief from a lot of those symptoms.
Well, that's what, now, and, I know you and I have discussed this before, but it, in the early days, it was really taboo.
Oh, sure.
People,
sure.
When it became legal 4 years ago.
Reefer madness.
Yeah, it was the reefer madness. because, they weren't taught any of this stuff in med school. Right. They weren't allowed to study it with government stuff. So, so they didn't really have any knowledge. But now the physicians in the world, or in our community, are now learning as we've learned.
Right.
When patients come in and give you feedback and say, "Hey, guess what, doc? I got my marijuana card, and I want to try to wean myself off the Xanax," and then they see it happen, and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute! It's
working.
There's something to this." Now, patient 2, 3, and 4 do that.
Right.
Whoa! It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize it's working here. So,
and you would think there would be more papers written along those lines, that doctors would have done a survey.
They are. Well,
and papers, so many patients came through here, and such percentage had success rates of greater than whatever
that
percentage.
Number's there. Okay, but as far as publishing that, they're probably afraid. I don't know that answer.
The stigma might still be there.
Well, maybe the government. I don't know, because it's still an illegal drug federally.
Right. Right.
Perhaps I'm just speculating. I have no real knowledge of that.
It could be.
But yes, but I can tell you now, more and more patients will call me and I'll say, "Okay, well, what made you think to get a card?" "Oh, well, actually, my doctor thought it would be a good idea." I hear it every day now.
Yep.
Okay, so that just tells you that doctors are experiencing the same thing we're experiencing, where patients are coming in giving positive feedback. Okay,
Yeah.
And now I can tell you the worst feedback I'm getting. Okay, because I do get some bad feedback. Here's what's happening sometimes. And this is very critical, okay? And I learned this in the early days. We, on the physician side, okay, we need to do a better job of educating patients when they come in the door. Okay? There are too many facilities that get them the card and they don't comprehend marijuana. They're getting them the card and sending them down the road.
Yeah.
And then they get into a dispensary. Maybe you don't get somebody that's super... maybe a newer person in the system, and they get a product that doesn't work for them, or sends them mostly in a THC naive patient. The worst thing you can have is what they call in the industry a green out. They get too much THC, their heart starts racing, they start having an anxiety attack, they want to call the hospital.
Right.
Okay? You're going to lose that patient. Okay? That patient's afraid to try marijuana again. So so I have seen the negative side of it is sending that patient. What we do is we offer to meet every patient at the dispensary the first time.
Right.
Okay. Not everybody takes us up on it, but
right.
But that way you kind of passing the baton. You get in there and you see somebody who is very knowledgeable, and you can kind of pass the baton.
Like we were saying, some of them know you by name.
Yeah, some of them know you by name. That's right.
I'm a regular.
Yeah, exactly.
So we had a great episode today. A lot to talk about.
Wait a minute, Tracy. You hadn't showed your socks.
Oh.
Lord, Biz.
Look at that, baby.
I'm trying to talk him out of these socks before we get out of here today.
Listen, thank you for joining us on this very special 420 episode. You can find the Contrast Project on Facebook, Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, like, share, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Happy 420. Peace.
Hey,
cheers.
Happy 420, sir.